Do you ever feel that whisper? That tiny voice deep inside telling you that you're meant for more? It's a feeling I know all too well. For years, I was trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. Every morning, I'd wake up and the first thing I'd feel wasn't hope, but a heavy blanket of fear. Fear of failure, fear of what others thought, fear of not being good enough. I'd look in the mirror and see someone I didn't recognize, someone who was just going through the motions, a shadow of the person I wanted to be. My days were a battle. Not against some external enemy, but against myself. I'd set goals, big dreams, and then my own mind would become the biggest obstacle. It would tell me, you can't do that. You're not smart enough. It's too hard, just give up. I'd procrastinate, make excuses, and settle for comfort. I was living in a cage I had built myself, with bars made of what ifs and I can'ts. This struggle wasn't just in my head. It seeped into everything. My work suffered, my relationships felt strained, and my health declined. I was tired, not from physical exhaustion, but from the constant mental and emotional war one was waging against my own potential. I was fighting to stay afloat in a sea of my own insecurities. And the worst part, I felt so alone in this struggle. I scroll through social media, seeing everyone else's highlight reels, their successes, their perfect lives. It felt like everyone else had the instruction manual for life, and I was missing a few pages. I compared my behind-the-scenes chaos to their curated perfection, and it just made me sink deeper. I was at a point where just getting out of bed felt like a monumental achievement. I was surviving, but I definitely wasn't living. The desire for more was there, but it was buried under layers of frustration and disappointment. I knew something had to change, but I had no idea where to even begin. Then, one day, something shifted. It wasn't a lightning bolt or a dramatic movie moment. It was much quieter. I was at my absolute lowest, sitting alone, completely fed up with the person I had become. And in that moment of raw honesty, a different voice emerged. It wasn't loud, but it was clear. It asked a simple question. What if you're wrong? What if all those negative thoughts, all those fears, all that doubt? What if they were all just stories you've been telling yourself? What if you decided right now to write a different story? That was my awakening. It was the realization that I wasn't a victim of my circumstances or my thoughts. I was the author of my life. I had the power to change the narrative. The fear didn't magically disappear, but for the first time, I felt a spark of control. I realized that self-respect wasn't something you're given, it's something you earn. And you earn it through discipline. You earn it by keeping the promises you make to yourself. So, I made one small promise. Just one. I promised myself that the next morning, I would get up and go for a walk. No matter how much my mind screamed at me to stay in bed, I would do it. That's it. A tiny manageable step. The next morning came, and sure enough, the old voice was there. It's too cold. You're too tired. Just 5 more minutes. But this time I didn't listen. I got up, put on my shoes, and walked out the door. It was just a 20-minute walk, but when I came back, I felt like I had conquered a mountain. I had kept a promise to myself. That small act of discipline was the first domino. I started to understand that confidence isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a result you create through action. You don't think your way into confidence, you act your way into it. So, I started taking more action. I started working out, not because I wanted to look a certain way, but because it was another promise I could keep to myself. Every workout completed was another layer of confidence built. I started reading books, learning new skills, stepping out of my comfort zone in small, deliberate ways. The fear was still there, tagging along like an unwanted friend, but its voice was getting quieter. My voice, the voice of action and discipline, was getting louder. The journey wasn't a straight line. There were days I stumbled, days I fell back into old patterns. But the difference now was that I didn't stay down. I'd learned that a slip-up isn't a failure unless you quit. I'd get up, dust myself off, and make another promise to myself for the next day. I stopped seeing setbacks as proof of my inadequacy and started seeing them as part of the process, as lessons. I was reprogramming my mind one action at a time. I started to believe, truly believe, that greatness isn't something reserved for a chosen few. It's something that resides within all of us, waiting to be unlocked. We just have to find the key. And for me, the key was action. This transformation culminated in a moment I'll never forget. It was a project I had been putting off for years, a personal goal that my old self would have deemed impossible. It was a massive undertaking, full of challenges and potential failures. Every step of the way, the old fears tried to creep back in. But this time, I had an arsenal of proof against them. I had a history of kept promises. I had the physical and mental strength built from hundreds of small, consistent actions. I remembered the walks, the workouts, the books, the uncomfortable conversations. Each one was a brick in the foundation of my new self. So I pushed forward. I worked relentlessly, fueled not by a fear of failure, but by a deep desire to prove to myself what I was capable of. The work was hard. There were sleepless nights and moments of intense doubt. But I refused to let the ghosts of my old self win. I kept showing up. I kept taking action. And then it happened. I finished the project. I achieved the goal. Standing there, looking at what I had created, what I had accomplished, it wasn't just a feeling of success. It was a feeling of victory. A victory over my own limitations, my own doubts, my own fears. In that moment, I finally understood. The real victory wasn't the external achievement. The real victory was the person I had become in the process. Someone who didn't run from challenges, but faced them. Someone who trusted themselves. Someone who knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that their worth wasn't determined by anyone else's opinion, but by their own discipline and integrity. I had freed myself from the prison of fear. I had earned my own self-respect. I finally looked in the mirror and saw the person I always wanted to be. Not a perfect person, but a resilient one, a strong one. Someone who knew that greatness truly does come from within. This journey is not over. It's a lifelong commitment. But now I wake up every day not with fear, but with purpose. The struggle, the awakening, the victory, they weren't just phases. They were the building blocks of who I am today. And I want you to know, if you're feeling that struggle right now, that you have this same power within you. It starts with one small promise, one small action. It starts with deciding to write a new story. Believe that self-respect is earned through discipline. Believe that confidence is built through action. And believe, most importantly, that your greatness is waiting for you to unlock it. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content on building a life you're proud of. I'd love to hear about your own journey in the comments below. Let's build this community together. Thanks for watching.